We are back
We're back.
with episode number 227, which we looked up to make sure was right before the show.
Of course.
And today we have special guests. Nobody.
Nobody. Well, we were going to have a special guest, but
He ended up going into the hospital.
yeah, he's
So
in the
that,
hospital, and we're hoping he
hoping and
quickly
praying that he
recovers
comes
and
out of
gets
it.
back out because he's got lots and lots of things to say.
So we will have him on probably in the next couple weeks, I would imagine. But
Sure. Yeah.
until that time, we're just going to go through we're just going to talk metal. We're
Yeah.
trying to think of a topic. And we're like, let's just talk, man. All of us have been to some different shows, and we got all stuff.
Right, and whoever's listening can throw lob a question our way. Who knows? We might even answer it.
We might. What's up, Metal Overkill? Cool. So yeah, let's get into it. We'll go around the thing. I said you said you had a shout out, so let's go ahead and do that first.
Okay, well, I got several shout outs. I got a shout out to the Hammer, Henry Vasquez, Born Late Records, and The Freak. And of course, he's in a million bands: The Skull, Saint Vitus, Blood of the Sun, Spirit Caravan, blah 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 blah. And he's got an announcement that he's going to share with us when we get him on the show. Also, shout out to Allie Fink, the teenage Punkenstein who graduated from high school this past Saturday. And I want to shout out to our compadre Rob Cowell. We failed to mention Osric Tentacles last week, and he didn't ride my case about it. But guess what, Rob? This Osric is for you.
I believe, don't we have unless it's mistaken, don't we have now an Osric Tentacles metal roundtable shirt?
We do. So if you get on our merch page, you can see that beautiful shirt that I designed just for Rob. It was a special gift. In fact, I think that the Space Cadet Jet distro, the Steve Murphy thing. Steve Murphy, our friend that we had on last week, the rotting corpse that's driving this rotting corpse bus. He's got some of those available in multiple colors and so forth. So go check it out. I've got my own little corner because I've been doing a lot of rotting corpse shirt, including the Judas Priest logo one and the 420 shirt, which has been real popular. And he's offered to throw out the metal roundtable stuff. So we've got that out there too. So go check it out.
Nice. Steve?
So I'll do this now since you brought it up. So I was in Daytona Beach a couple weeks ago for the what's it called? Welcome to Rockville festival, and I messaged Carcass John here because I ran across a couple records from his favorite band. So I'll show these real quick. I didn't know what to get. They had 10 of their records. I wasn't going to buy all 10 at $30 a piece. So I decided I'd buy 3 of them. So I looked online at a bunch of lists to see which one the most highly rated ones were. And this was like number 1 on most of the list. And I will say this was my least favorite of the ones that I listened to. But Osric Tentacles. So this is Technicians of the Sacred. This is actually pretty recent. This was like 2015 or 16 when this one came out. So when everybody said this was a prog band, it's not what I was expecting. This is kind of like prog, space rock, world music. I mean, there's songs on here with a sitar. There's songs on here with sampling. I mean, the stuff that they put on this is insane. It's kind of like there's ambient there. It's kind of like if New Age was good. It's kind of how I would describe this, because there's kind of a New Age element to it, but it's really drum and bass driven with kind of the effects in the background. So I didn't really like this when I first heard it, just because it's not what I was expecting. But then I got into the other 2 records and came back to this and kind of liked it. So, but the other
honestly,
2 I bought.
Honestly, that's probably not my favorite either.
Like I said, this was one that everybody almost listed as one of their 2 or 3 best. So
yeah, I would have.
With the second listen, I liked it better. It's still my least favorite of the 3.
It will grow on you, but yeah, not my top dog for sure.
So the one that I like the most is from, I think this was 88 or 89. This is Pungent Effulgent. This one is really cool. So this one is kind of spacey, kind of psychedelic, kind of prog, but there's some dub in here too. So if you guys are into like reggae and dub, there's a lot of that on this record. And it's like tasteful. It's not like, it doesn't sound like Jamaican dub. I mean, it's just got those elements mixed in with the space rock. So I thought this one was really cool. And then this one was kind of a mix of all of them. This one has more of a world music vibe, where each song one of them has kind of an African sound to it. One of them has kind of a South American sound. But this one is from 1990 and it's Earthland. And I really dug this one too. So those were my two favorite of the three. What's that?
So you went way back. You didn't stick, like, I probably would have suggested Strangitude, which was the first one I heard. Live Under Slunky.
Space for the Earth.
Yeah. Or Jurassic Shift, or The Floor's Too Far Away, or
there's just so many of them.
Yeah.
Those second two, the Earthland and the Pungent Effulgent. Yeah. I mean, I loved these were both awesome.
Those were their first kind of full-length releases.
Yeah.
And so that harkens back to their early roots.
That record store had like 10 of them, and he was shocked when I brought him up. He's like, man, I've had those for like a year and a half, and nobody's even looked at them. I was like, well, I'll buy all of them for a good deal. He's like, no, I'll just leave them. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I just pulled up a bunch of lists. I wasn't sure which ones to get. Like I said, he had like 10 or 11 albums from them. And so I just pulled up a bunch of lists of what people thought were the best. And those three were all in the top 5. So that's kind of what I grabbed.
What do you think of those?
Right on. They're fine with me. I don't have the first one you showed it, whose name I already forgotten. Technicians of Sacred, I think. I don't have that one yet. So
like I said, it's a recent one. It was from 2015 or 16.
It's a double album that could have probably been a single.
What's funny is the second time, or when I was listening to it the first time, my favorite side was side 3. And I didn't realize until afterwards I was listening to it at 45 RPMs. And it actually sounded better at 45 RPMs than it sounded at 30. I'm just throwing that out there. I was listening to a bunch of new wave of British heavy metal singles right before that, and then through that second album on, and it's hilarious that I've done that.
I've done that before, unfortunately. I've done it with like metal stuff, and you're like, wow, this is really stinking heavy, and you're like, and fast, and then they're like, oh, wrong speed.
I did that with the first time I listened to Dope Smoker. I got like halfway through the song before I, because it's like 5 minutes in before the lyrics hit, and realized when the lyrics hit that I had been listening to it at the wrong speed the whole time. And I was into it too, at the wrong speed. You're
not going to get that with Osric Tentacles, because the vocals never kick in.
Yeah, they never kick in.
Well, there's some where there's like vocal effects and vocal sampling and stuff, but
yeah, there's some stuff in there. Yeah.
Well, there you go, Ryan Roebuck.
Let's put that comment up. That comment deserves to be up. So Ryan Roebuck is from the band Motivik, whose new album is coming out this year on vinyl and CD through Rox Records. And I've heard it, and it will be one of the thrash metal albums of the year. It is so dang good.
I just ordered it yesterday, but hey, Ryan, they just ordered I don't know where in the Atlanta area you live, but they just opened a new record store on the 92 right off of 575 Wolf House Records or House Wolf Records. I can't remember what it is. They have a huge his big thing is he has a huge wall of Georgia bands, and I had mentioned your band, and he would like to get a couple copies of your album to put on the Georgia wall there to sell. So just throwing that out to you.
Nice. Cool. So I guess I'm next, right? Shout outs. I don't know. I probably should shout out Bill Bafford, who was so gracious to let me hang out at his place for the entire weekend, crash on his pull-out sofa couch, and that was awesome because we had a good time. We went to we saw some bands play, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and actually went to the fair with him, him and his family, and I actually enjoyed watching him and his grandkids and his kids just running around having a good time. It was just fun seeing somebody else's family, just interacting and enjoying each other's company, and it was just very relaxing. So I kind of enjoyed that. So anyhow, my shout out is to Bill Bafford of Rox Records. And Rob, we'll shout out Rob Caldwell too. Rob's not here today because he had something he had to do at the last minute, so he called and said he couldn't make it. So
here
there
we
you
are,
go.
kind of
So
muddled
here we
through,
are.
as they say.
So let's get into the show then. We got we need our. I
Pick
still
of the
need to
week?
come up with a little cool graphic we can come up with our video of like an explosion, and then it says
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to
POW.
download this Roadcaster thing is really great. I think I sound better than I used to with that other Razer mic, and there are all sorts of features on this that I just haven't had the time to figure out yet. But I will, and when I do, life will never be the same again. So, pick of the week, boom, boom, or whatever.
It's got to be like a Batman, where it's got the pow.
Yeah, bang, bang,
bang. Sure. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yep, exactly.
Okay. Well, Scott, you can help me with that, and I'll download it. All right. Well, I thought long and hard about this, and in fact, I do another podcast with my lawyer called Choices, Lessons in Life, and every week we come up with a song, and we read lyrics from it that sort of matches our what we're going to talk about. And the topic I think this week was the world's gone crazy, and so I started thinking about a song off this album. This is Styx Equinox. This is from 1975. This is actually a Canadian pressing from '78. It's an audiophile pressing. It sounds phenomenal. This is right after John Krulewski left. He was their original guitarist, and Tommy Shaw, a young man, 16 years old from Alabama, joined the band. But there's a song on here called "Sweet Madam Blue," and those are the lyrics I pulled for the podcast, the Choices podcast. And if you want to hit me up and listen to that, that'd be great too. But Styx Equinox, this has every bit of heavy. This kind of was going the proggy hard rock direction that I think originally the band wanted to go. Is it Dennis DeYoung? I get
yes.
Dennis DeYoung was the more flamboyant of the crew that did the Mr. Roboto and the Grand Illusion, or not the Grand Illusion, but the Paradise Theater and that type of thing, and then has left the band since. And he wanted to go a more commercial way, but this is still extremely heavy. I don't know if in fact, if you haven't listened to it in a while, you should really pull it out and check it out, because it is it's got tons of melody, but it's really super heavy. And so that's my rock pick of the week. And here's one for you. I saw these guys in a taco stand in East Dallas, and it was fun because they kept the taco stand open while these guys were playing. I also saw a band called Witch Trap at the same place, but this is Death Hammer from Norway. If you like, and it says Forever Ripping Fast, this is a compilation of demos, their first 3 demos. And if you love thrash and you love kind of blackened thrash and speed metal, Death Hammer is your ticket to paradise. And so I picked this up because it has one of my favorite thrash tracks, which is called Toxic Radiation. And of course, what says thrash like some reference to nuclear war or toxic thrash or some sort of toxicity. So 2 picks of the week: Styx Equinox for the rock pick, and for the metal pick, Death Hammer from Norway.
Nice.
And that's the name of that tune.
Let's see if I can figure out how to get this thing back again.
Want to take a crack at the shirt?
There we go. Oh, let me saw you so I can see it better, because you're little on my screen right now.
Okay, there you go.
Tribal love.
Tribal.
Got one part of it right.
Gosh, man, looks like a G.
Move your beard.
Yes.
Nope. I can't even figure it.
Tribal Gaze.
Gaze.
Tribal Gaze from Longview, Texas, of all places. There's not a whole lot in Longview. There's a couple of cemeteries, a bowling alley, and a place to play heavy metal. And man, check them out. That would be my death metal pick of the week if I could venture down that road. But Tribal Gaze, Longview, Texas, check them out.
Right on. I got. I do want to talk about a couple shows that I went to, and I know Steve does too. But I also thought I would show some stuff that Rob and I worked on that just came out on vinyl.
Let's do it.
So this is Rose Healing, very doomy Black Sabbath meets Danzig kind of stuff. I love this album, and I used to like this album. I love this album now. What's that?
Is it a newer band?
No, this is from 19. No, I think it was back in 1992.
Yeah, they were.
And this is their second album. The first album, and
Rose. It's kind of like a gothic. I mean, it's almost like a Cure meets Danzig type of thing. I don't know about that album, but some of the early stuff that I've heard is kind of like that.
Yeah, and it definitely has a lot of Sabbath riffing in it too. But this is the first Rose album when he was using his full name, Randy Rose Sacrificium. And this is on Retroactive Records, and both these are fantastic. Of the two, I prefer this one just because it's a little bit heavier. But yeah, I love both these albums. So they just came out on vinyl and CD on Retroactive Records, and Rob Caldwell did the mastering, and I did all the layouts and everything for the reissue, and had to redo the covers because the record company didn't have any of the original art anymore. So, but we had a discussion actually right before we went live. John and I did about how some of the big labels are putting out stuff and not caring, and they're putting out really crappy looking album covers. Not necessarily the artwork, but they're taking old covers and are just not scanning them properly and not descreening them, and they get moire patterns, and they're usually too dark and all that kind of stuff. And which one was it? Did we show Montrose? The first Montrose.
Oh, it looks awful.
Yeah, it looked awful. So I
worked really make me mad aren't even the ones that they blew up from CDs. It's the ones that were released on vinyl, and they don't do a high res scan. They just do a cheap scan of it, and even the ones that were done on vinyl look like shit. You know,
like that Montrose.
Yeah, when the bootlegs
I have no doubt
better than the original releases, then that's not good.
I have no doubt that Montrose was scanned from a vinyl record, but they didn't descreen it. They didn't do any color proper. It just looks like crap. So anyhow,
no, it looks terrible. He showed it to me, and I was just like, because I thought he was talking about the CD that came out a few years ago, and that, of course, is compact and compressed and looks decent, but the album does not look good.
There was one that I saw a couple months ago that drove me nuts because you can still buy a poster, like a full size poster of the album cover. They would have been better off taking that poster and scanning it and shrinking it smaller, and it would have looked 10 times better than what they released on that album cover. You know,
I mean, I'm going to say at least half of the albums that I work on, and I do several hundred albums a year now, and I'm going to say about half of those I have to scan from a CD because the original art's been lost. They don't have it, whatever. And if you do it right and you spend some time on it and you know what you're doing, you can make it look good without it looking, like it was scanned from a CD.
Pixelated or washed out.
Pixelated, washed out. I mean, simple.
Well, I get a label that's only pressing 100 copies. They don't want to pay somebody a few $100 to fix the cover. But these major labels that are doing 3, 5, 10,000 copies, it's just it's not even going to really affect your profit margin to pay that couple $100. And actually, you're more likely to sell it if it looks good, because there's been a lot where it looks so bad that I don't even buy it, because if it looks that bad, what's the record going to sound like? You know,
right? Exactly.
So they've lost a customer right there. I wouldn't.
And the thing is, though, if they're paying someone to scan it, or if they have an employee that's doing it, it's not that much harder to descreen. You just don't know. I think they don't know what they're doing. That's what I think. But in any case, I'm going to.
There's enough technology out there where nothing should look bad. Really, I mean, let's be honest.
With the technology today, they should be able to Google it and get at least close. That came out really good. I was just listening to that yesterday.
This just came in the mail today. I just got my copy of this, but this is one that Rob and I worked on. Iced Earth Melancholy EP, and I haven't even. It's not even opened yet. I'm going to try and open it. I don't have jeans on, so the jeans trick may not work.
I just did a huge order to Floga Records in Greece to get because they just reissued 5 or 6 of the Iced Earth albums.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they're. I got the one of them. Which one was it? Gosh, I can't remember now.
Glorious
Burden. Yeah, I got the Glorious Burden. So
I love that record. I know it's a lot of people don't like it. That's actually one of my favorite Iced Earth records.
Is that the one with Ripper, Greenface, and
yes,
that's the first one with him.
When Red Goes Blue or something? Or what's the one with the song about the Red Baron?
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all stuff about American history. So here's the insert, which came out really nice.
Yeah, that did.
And then, of course, you got the lyrics on the back with the Iced Earth logo ghosted in the background. There's only lyrics to the songs that they wrote because there's a bunch of covers on here, and we didn't have the rights to put the lyrics in the.
They're really good covers too, you know.
They do a great job.
Yeah, what are they?
They do Shooting Star, Bad Company, Electric Funeral, Black Sabbath, and they do The Ripper, Judas Priest.
Oh, yeah. Now I like that version of The Ripper actually. Not that the Priest version is bad, but
with the thing, but yeah, this came out fantastic. So they only pressed 300 of them, and they're nearly gone already, which I'm not surprised by because it's Iced Earth. So if anybody who's watching wants this, you need to get over there, backbreakerrecords.com, because they really are almost gone.
It sounds great. Records, I spun it like 7 or 8 times since I got it. I've had it about a week now.
I heard the test pressing, and the test pressing sounded fantastic. I mean, what is it? Rob did a fantastic job on it. So the only thing I would have loved to have done is if we could have actually made this, because I made it look like it was chrome, but it's not actually chrome. It's just printed chrome. But it came out pretty nice considering.
Yeah,
it's supposed to. Man, I'm getting a lot of glare. Sorry, but
anyhow, is it colored vinyl or is it black?
This one is black. Every other vinyl release that they did, they've done in color, but we had a choice of
full black though, with the all black.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought, and I convinced him to go all black. Not only that, but black is the most tested color and has the best sound quality.
I can't stand when labels put out colored pressings just to make it that don't match the, it should match like the jacket or something. They'll put out all these crazy colors just to put them out and sell more copies, And
then there's this one here too. That just came out. This is not one of my favorite bands, but people love this band, so. You a fan of?
That's actually not a bad record.
What's that?
That's actually a pretty decent record. I mean, it wouldn't be something I'd grab off the shelf just to try and get my metal vibe back, but it's not a bad sound. It's not a bad sounding record.
Yeah,
it's gothic. Is that a female-fronted band, Lacuna Coil?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah, these guys were. I remember maybe not even 10 years ago. These guys were like kings of the scene for a while. Man, everybody was into Lacuna Coil. So, and it's kind of cool because this is actually an alternative cover from the original one. They had 2 different covers, and we were able to use the alternative. And I mean, both of them have this kind of weird sunflower, whatever that thing is. But, and the vinyl's kind of cool too. Let's see if I can get it open. It's called Silver Streak. It's opening up vinyl on TV on YouTube. Come on. There we go. I'm not wearing jeans. I'm wearing a pair of shorts, so it doesn't quite work as well as a pair of jeans does to open up the shrink wrap. But yeah, Rob again. He's just destroying. Everything he's touched has just come out so good.
He's got a good system over there. I've seen his setup, and being a little bit of an audiophile, I pay attention to that stuff. But whatever he does is working. So
there it goes. So this is the insert. You kind of see all the pictures of the band on there, and then of course you got the lyrics in the back. Again with the logo ghosted in the background, and then here's the vinyl itself and the polyline sleeve. I like the polyline sleeves. And it's got a lot of static and doesn't want to come out. Of course, so I got to use my fingers, which I hate doing, but it is what it is.
Oh, wow. That does look kind of cool.
So it's called Silver Streak. That's the name of the vinyl style. So, yeah, it came out nice. I mean, it doesn't match perfectly the cover. We would have had to go red for that, but he just didn't want to. He didn't want another red vinyl because there's so much red vinyl out there. It's ridiculous. And we've done so many red vinyls. So we need to do something different. And I just had vinyls, so pardon me.
Uh-huh.
I just caught myself saying that. Anyhow, I just thought I'd show those because that's cool. We've done him and I have done like so many. So this one's coming out and just went on sale. The CDs already in. The LP is shipped and will be here shortly. This is the
I just
first
got the
Liar album
notification for that yesterday.
for the vinyl. Yeah,
Yeah.
it came in. I was out there in California, and it was supposed to come in on Saturday, and it didn't end up not coming until the day after when I left on Monday. So, but yeah, it's got the full album on it, remastered by Rob. It's got all the original artwork. This is just fantastic German heavy
Where
metal.
are they from? Oh, they're German.
German. Yep, they kind of ride the fence between Liar. Kind of rides the fence between thrash and U.S. power metal. Sometimes they're real thrashy, but I hear a lot of sabotage in their sound, especially in the vocals. The guy kind of has that John Oliver rasp, you know. I really like that album a lot. I wish we could release a second album too, but it's unfortunately owned by a big label who won't give it up.
That's a great example of an album with a horrible cover. Dr. Butcher, when they finally pressed that to vinyl, speaking of John Oliver, it's one of the worst album covers I've ever seen because they literally just blew up the CD.
Yeah, that's horrible. I had that too.
The album sounds fantastic, but the LP covers, it looks terrible. And it's a killer album. It's super underrated. And
it's just poorly scanned.
Yeah.
But anyhow, also this is coming out on vinyl, and the CD it hasn't even gone on sale yet. But this is The Awful Truth, and I love this album. I love it even more now than I did back then. I don't know. It's just such a great prog rock album. Have you heard this, Steve?
No.
Dude, this is fantastic. Two of the guys ended up in Galactic Cowboys, but it doesn't sound like the Galactic Cowboys. It's more because they were more kind of groove oriented. This is definitely more melodic, more progressive rock. I wouldn't even call this metal by any stretch of the imagination.
They were the Beatles. Galactic Cowboys were the heavy metal Beatles. They basically took the Beatles harmonies and turned it into heavy metal.
And this was produced by Sam Taylor, who also worked with King's X and the Galactic Cowboys and ZZ Top, among other Texas bands. So, yeah, I'm excited that this is coming out on vinyl. And then Liar, and then the last two I'll show, and then I'll stop showing crap that we're releasing. But
yeah, I was surprised to see that those were getting released. That first Face Reality is such a great album.
Yeah, it is. And wait till you hear what Rob did with it. Oh my gosh. If anything needed a remaster, it was these two albums. They're just so thin sounding, and now they have bottom end. You can actually hear the bass guitar.
I'm surprised that Rox is releasing those. Were they a Christian band? I don't remember.
They're not on Rox.
Oh, I thought it was Rox.
Nope, they're on No Life Till Metal Records.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, but yeah, completely remastered. And I got to do all the artwork on them, and the CDs look great. I can't wait to see the vinyl, but it should be awesome. They sound great. Rob, I don't know how he did it. I actually asked him. He's like, I don't know, because you can actually hear the bass guitar now. I never could hear the bass guitar in that album before.
Yeah, there's some videos up. There's some videos up. It sounds good.
What's that, John?
He's not going to give up his trade secrets, you guys.
No, and I don't blame him. But yeah, he does such a great job. I mean, I could show more, but that's I don't want to make the whole show about stuff that we're releasing. So
I got a couple that I picked up. So I mentioned there's a new shop in town, so I spent like an hour there talking to the guy, and he turned me on to some records. But this is one that I grabbed.
Real quick before you show it, let me answer his question. That was Rose, or Randy Rose, and it's not connected to Danzig, other than it has a similar a similar doomy vibe to Danzig.
He's got kind of the Danzig sound to his voice too.
Oh, his voice, definitely. Yeah, he's definitely got that almost Elvis Presley-ish at times.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that's who Danzig kind of models himself after,
Yep.
So this is a German band. It's kind of a mix between Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and I was really digging this. It's called the band is Universum, and the album's Heavy Metal Jafar. I was really digging this. I thought it was like some obscure 80s album because that's what it sounds like. And then I saw that the album's from like 2019, and it kind of killed it for me. It's still a cool album if you want to hear that traditional metal sound, but I don't know, the fact that it was released in 2019 kind of killed all the it killed the hype for me. I was really digging it, thinking it was like an 85 or 86 album. Picked up True as Steel from Warlock. I've never had this one on vinyl. I still have my cassette from back in the day. Got a really clean promo copy, so I was happy about that. This is one I missed on Record Store Day. This is the Smith Kotzen, the Better Days EP. So I bought their album when it came out, but I missed this EP. It was like Record Store Day like 2 years ago, 2021. So 3 years ago. So glad to have that.
Who's
And
the
then
Smith? Who's the Smith in that?
it's
Steve Smith?
yeah, it's Adrian Smith, yeah.
Oh, Adrian Smith.
Yeah. He's doing me for a loop there. So this is really cool. I had never heard the band Geezer. I don't know if you guys have checked them out yet. So the guy that owns the store is he's really into doom metal and sludge and stoner metal, and he turned me on to these guys. But this is a split with Geezer and Isaac. He was playing the Geezer in the record store for me. Just really cool, psychedelic stoner. Was really digging this. And then one I haven't listened to this yet. I just got it yesterday, but their last album was my album of the year, so I'm really looking forward to this one. This is Mine Burns Alive from Pallbearer. 2 or 3 years ago when their last album came out, it was my album of the year. Man, I've heard this album's even better, so looking forward to this. And then finally, this was
wait, before you move on, describe Pallbearer sound to us.
It's just a really killer doom metal band. I mean, that's basically the best way to describe them. And speaking of that, I was so pissed off when this sold out about 7 years ago, and was it Christian Metal Distribution got a couple copies in, and I couldn't buy it fast enough, but engraved from Victor
that's
Griffin.
So good. Victor
I've
Griffin.
had this on CD for years and years, and I've always wanted it on vinyl. Every time I've tried to buy it, I haven't been able to find it. So really happy to finally have that one. And if you haven't checked out Victor Griffin, if you're a doom metal guy, you're going to love everything that he's released. I mean, there's
I mean, he's one of the main guitar players from Pentagram, and
but
the
even
guitar player from Place of Skulls.
All of his solo stuff is his first solo album was at like 78 or 79. That first solo album that he did.
Yeah, it's good. I've got him all.
On the motorcycle.
I love it. Yeah,
it's like a doom metal Alice Cooper. That first album is fantastic, but Engraved is a 9 out of 10 record for me. So,
yeah, I was talking to the bass player from Red Mesa, that Desert Doom band, and he was telling me that that album you just showed, and I already forgot the name of the band.
Pallbearer.
Pallbearer. Thank you, Pallbearer. Which I'm gonna have to look into now. But he said he can't get that one out of a CD player. It's so good.
Well, and a lot of people liked their first 2 records, and they kind of changed their sound for the next 2. So a lot of people didn't like their last record, but I loved it, man. I played it for a good 6 or 7 months. That was always in my truck. And so I'm really excited. And from what I've heard, this one kind of goes back to their earlier sound, that earlier, heavier sound.
So are you excited about the Cavalera Conspiracy redo of Schizophrenia?
Oh, man. That's my favorite record. That's my favorite album. That's my favorite metal album.
Dude, I can't wait either. It's end of June?
Man. And they've been so good. Like I said, both the reissue or both the reimaginings they did are fantastic. I've been playing the shit out of them. I've seen them live 2 or 3 times in the last 4 years. Max sounds better than he sounded in at least a decade. All that weight he lost definitely helped his vocals. And the last 2 times I've seen him, he just sounded fantastic. When I saw him before the pandemic, you could tell he was like struggling to breathe while he was singing, and he was more screaming into the mic. Whereas the last 2 times I saw him, he was actually singing again, which he hasn't done in as long as I can remember, So I'm definitely looking for it. What I'm kind of worried about, though, is one of the cool things about Schizophrenia, and they didn't realize this till they moved to
guitars were out of tune.
Yeah, till they went to Morris Sound, and because Morris is the one that told them that the guitars were out of tune for that record, and they've never been able to replicate that. Even live, you can hear the difference. So I'm curious what they're going to do about that with the re-recording. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to rip. I don't. Man, what they're doing with those is just. See, to me, if you do a greatest hits record, I think that's what kind of like what Testament did with another, or what
First Strike Still Deadly.
First Strike Still Deadly, that type of thing. I know that Saxon has done something similar where they re-recorded But I think that's the way you get me to buy a greatest hits album, is you go in and re-record it. And
well, not just that. I mean, people forget when they recorded that in 80. What was it? 86, the first EP,
yeah,
or 87, the first
86
EP.
or 7.
They were recording all those first three, the EP and the first two albums. They recorded those in really shitty studios in Brazil. They didn't have any kind of producers. I mean, it was literally you go in the studio, you knock it out in 2 or 3 hours, and that's it.
Basically, yeah, it's basically demo, almost live.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what they were. And man, they just did such a good Bestial Devastation. Man, I've been playing that nonstop since they recorded it. It's so good, and it really brings up how good they were as a band at 17 and 18 years old. Because I mean, they didn't change anything. It's basically a note for note copy of the original. It's just they're better musicians now, and it's better recorded. So I mean, you really see how good they were at such a young age, and how far kind of ahead of everybody else they really were. I mean, they really were, even though they were kind of copying that Venom Slayer type of sound in those early releases. They had their own thing and it really comes out in the re-recordings.
So let's see here. Fraser Dawson seeing Saxon tomorrow night. Enjoy. I think Uriah Heep's touring with him.
Saxon 3 weeks ago.
With Uriah Heep?
Let me tell you, Fraser, Uriah Heep fucking killed. Oh my God, they were so good. So they're touring with Rick Wakeman's son, who's also the guy behind Jazz Sabbath, and he was in Black Sabbath for a number of years. He did the last few tours with Black Sabbath. Uriah Heep, I mean, they ripped it. Saxon always sounds good. Don't get me wrong. So I wasn't surprised that Saxon had a fantastic set. Uriah Heep blew me away. They killed it. It was so good, and they hit every part of their career. They did 2 songs from the first album. They did a couple from they did Magician's Friend. They did a couple from the second album. They did what was it, Abomagog? Yeah,
they did something nice.
They did a couple of their new songs. It was a killer set, and they blew me away how good they sounded. They did Gypsy, and which is one of my favorite Uriah Heep songs anyway. Man, it was so good. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
So why don't you let's see here. You have something you want to add, John?
No, I was just gonna see. I saw TJ has bounced in here, and he said something about the new Gate Creeper.
There it is.
And they, man, they sort of lost me on their last record. They went kind of wacky. They lost that entombed type heaviness, and now he's saying it's up there for me. Blah blah blah. Much more melodic of a release. I don't know if I want melody if I listen to Gate Creeper, but I'll give it a shot, I guess. I haven't really bought anything new recently because I've been in the process of making space. So, but there are a few. I did. Let's see, where is that list? A band called Gateway. Should try and find something by them. Paganizer is another band, German band. Ashen Tomb, another one that I've found, and I've done the unthinkable, and I know, and as much as I love physical copies, and I've been buying the non-releases, the ones on MP3, the downloads off of Bandcamp, because it's just so cost prohibitive to get a $20 record for $40, because that's what it's going to cost you to ship. And I always get excited when I see, like you said, Steve, you want the vinyl to match the cover, kind of, even if it's splatter vinyl or some sort of a split color, and then you get to the pay part, and it's like shipping is $25 from Europe, and I'm just
that's the bad thing. And a lot of the stuff that I want is coming from Europe, and there's very few distros here that are carrying, and the few that do, they sell out so fast. It's like the Iced Earth records. Miami Metal Merchants usually carries that stuff, but they sold out months ago in pre-sale. So I had to order them direct from the label, and it's going to cost me almost $30. That's why I bought 5 records, though, because it'll, it kind of evens it out a little bit, but still it sucks.
Yeah,
the shipping from Europe has gotten so bad, especially the UK.
I think I mentioned them before, but Reforestation Records, they're a Russian label that is tape and download only, and I probably to could knock down the price of shipping. I mean, I actually did buy some tapes from them, and it was $9 to ship, which isn't bad, but it was the same price as the tape. So if you're willing to pay $20 a tape, Reforestation Records is the label for you. But
Well, the
they
problem
also
is
give
too
you
is a lot of those labels are using the shipping as a another way of making money, because I've bought stuff from the UK where they've charged $10 shipping for like 4 or 5 records, and but I've also, there's a lot of labels it's like 25-30 bucks for shipping. So I think they're using it as another way to make profit as opposed to just shipping costs.
It's
well,
possible. I just know from the labels that I work with that the programs that they run their sales through figures out the shipping automatically for them, and it's not cheap, man. I mailed a package to a buddy of mine in Austria, and it was the size of a 7-inch box because it was all 7-inch singles. It was maybe that thick, and it was almost $100 to ship that sucker.
Oh,
And I was like,
wow.
"You got to be kidding me! There's nothing cheaper than that." And they're like, "Nope, that's all we have." And I'm like,
Well, and what's funny is UPS has gotten cheaper than the US. Like even USPS media mail,
"Mhm,
it's cheaper to ship UPS than it is to ship media mail these days, which is insane.
well, I know in
yep,
some countries like the Netherlands, Holland, like I buy from two vendors in Amsterdam, and they have a deal with DHL, and
Yeah,
it's basically $11 or $12 to ship a record, and it always comes with your tracking and your
yeah.
insurance, and it always comes and it's not in pieces like we've seen some of the like Scott's mint copy of Kansas. Uh,
yeah,
it doesn't look like it's been sitting in the sun and then skipped across the driveway.
yeah." I
Um,
mean,
so you sort of have to,
sometimes you gotta you need a frisbee, and you just gotta grab what's around.
yeah. So it's Kansas leftoverture for you at your house,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but
absolutely.
anyway, but yeah, you sort of have to be selective. But the tape thing is kind of fun because it's retro and it's and I've got still a bunch of tape decks around. And I listen to tapes because it has the warmth of a vinyl record, but it has the convenience of a CD almost.
Yeah,
And I found myself doing mix even when I do a download to my phone. I know unthinkable, right? But I'll do basically a mixtape, and I'll just do it basically one track, which is the way we used to listen to tapes anyway before the expensive super Pioneer super tuners that had the scan feature where you could go to the next track or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember
I thought that
those?
was the coolest thing when I got my first tape deck, where you could hit the fast forward and then go to the next track instead of.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember those.
That's like interstellar type technology for back then. But so I haven't really been buying a whole lot, but I've been stoked for this. I think the Rotting Corpse demos vinyl is finally somewhere in the United States. We should be landing those. And man, that thing, you talk about someone with studio tricks making an old demo sound phenomenal. That whoever the guy that in Austin that did that is like super it's a super impressive deal. And I think
Well,
the
I've heard
package
the
turned
I've
out
heard
cool.
the video track, the tracks that they have on YouTube, and even those sound. I mean, they don't sound like demos; they sound like
Yeah.
mastered studio recordings.
Well, I think Steve stripped all the old, the original demo tape Spotify things and whatever, and took and has now included
Yeah.
those new mastered tracks. So, but anyway, like I said, I'm looking to downsize just a tad, but I'm still always looking for new music. That's what I love about Bandcamp. That's sort of my go-to where I can actually research a band, get a sampling of their work, and then knowing that the majority of the money goes to them. Not like some of these where they might make $1 a record if you buy a $40 record. If you buy a $9 download, that $8 goes to the band. So that's kind of fun.
And actually, speaking of Motivic, you can order theirs on their Bandcamp right now.
Oh, cool. There you go. Help a brother out.
yep. Hey, so I went out to California last weekend to see Ruthless. They did their album release party, and Primal. Um, there was 4 bands total. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the last band because my ride was tired and ready to go home. But I did get to see Ruthless and Primal, and they were fantastic. Both bands. Primal really impressed me, not just because I like them so much, but their drummer is like, I don't know, I'm just making up a number here, but like 95% blind. I mean, to the point where the band has to guide him up on the stage, and so he has to get it when he gets up on the stage. He's got to set up his drum set perfectly so that he knows where everything is at, so he can play. And he plays with a visor over his eyes so that he doesn't get the glare from the lights and stuff like that.
Is
But
he
when
from?
he gets on,
Is he from Phoenix?
I he's from Argentina originally.
Oh, okay. Now there was a drummer from Phoenix back in the day. He was one of the best drummers in Phoenix, who was in a bunch of bands that was legally blind. He was a similar situation. That's just interesting.
He was in Hyrax for a while too. But when he was in Hyrax, he wasn't quite as blind as as he is now. His eyesight's going away. But yeah, anyhow, so you watched him play though, you'd have no clue. The double bass, it was like his feet were not connected to his body. Kind of reminded me of Gene Hoglan. You ever seen Gene Hoglan play?
Oh,
he's just like up there, like, and he's like moving, and he's just like looking around and smiling. He's like it's no big deal.
Crazy to watch though, because Gene Hoglan barely moves when he plays. It blows me away every time I watch him.
That's what I'm saying. That's the way he was. It was
he barely moves, and I was never that type of drummer. I was the guy that was all over the place, And
I was really impressed.
Speaking of Hyrax, anybody hear anything about their new release?
Yes, it's coming out soon. Glenn Rogers, who is the guitar player from Primal, was also in Hyrax. Anyhow, I brought my album out and got it signed, so I had to bring it. I couldn't bring a whole lot of stuff or buy a lot of stuff because I flew out and I didn't bring a suitcase and I had to carry everything back. So all I had was a backpack. So I brought 2 records. I brought this and I brought this, and that's it. And I got them both signed by the whole band. So and then I also,
is that the same Ruthless from the 80s, or is it a different
same band? Ruthless. Okay, same Ruthless. Yep. Sammy D still on vocals and the original guitar player as well. And then I don't know if you guys have ever seen this Final Decree 7-inch. It's the only thing. This is the only thing that Final Decree has ever released. But basically, this is members of, I think there's 2 members of Hyrax in here. Bass players from Steel Vengeance, and the singer is Sammy D from Ruthless on here. So since both bands are playing, I was able to get all 4 guys to sign the 7-inch, even though they're not a band anymore. Final Decree isn't. So yeah, it was fun. It was cool. I also picked up a couple shirts. So here's the Ruthless shirt.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
The fall
reminds me of my first wife.
The Primal, I didn't pick up one of their shirts, but Glenn gave me, because they just come off a tour, and they didn't have these for sale because they had sold out on the tour. But he saved me one. So here's the Hugh cool. Machine tour shirt. Now on the back, it's got all the dates of the tours for the recent tour. So
wow, cool.
Madrid, Barcelona, Zurich, Rosario, Argentina, Cabo, Argentina, Curabo, Argentina, Morón, Argentina, and Huntington Beach, California was the last show of that tour.
I will say that's something that's been driving me nuts at shows lately, and I know Glenn isn't doing a lot of shows, so I get why they ran out. But I saw Uriah Heep. It was like their 3rd show, or not Uriah Heep, Saxon. It was their 3rd show in the U.S., and they were already sold out of like half their T-shirts for the entire tour. And that's been happening a lot at shows lately. It's been driving me nuts where you go to early in the tour, and they were already sold out of like half their shirts for the tour.
Yeah.
So I get it that they're not making money off of merch like they used to, but
if they did it in house, they could. I mean,
I apologize for the dogs barking. Nothing I could do about it. Usually I can close my door, but my wife's not home today, and if I close the door, they'll make noise trying to get into the room. So anyhow, that's my that's my story. We also went to a couple record stores, went to Amoeba, picked up a few things there, cheap. I was surprised. A lot of 7-inch singles, and then I picked up Eccentrics first album for $19.
It's funny you showed that. I just picked up an original pressing of that like 3 or 4 weeks ago at one of my local shops. Next time you're out here, I'll take you. There's a shop out here. The guy's a metal and punk guy. It's a shop that's been around for 20 years. I didn't know about, and that's like my main shop now.
Well, I've also been working on some reissues that haven't been announced yet, but whatever. But we're one of the labels I work for is releasing 3 Hades albums. Damnation. What's the other one? The Lost Fox Studio Sessions, which is one of their early, a bunch of their early material, and then just one other one: Save Yourself, Lost Fox, and Damnation. Save Yourself. That's the one I was missing.
Save Yourself.
Anyhow,
with the money on the cover.
Yes. Well, so I've been actually talking back and forth with Dan Lorenzo from Hades, and he sent me this in the mail, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
That's a great album, too.
Yeah, it is a great album. So he sent me that, and then he sent me, the Patriarchs in Black, which is his new band, which I've been totally digging on. So I got this album coming in the mail on vinyl. Great. Have you guys heard Patriarchs in Black yet?
Nope. Making notes, however.
I am addicted to them right now. I'm trying to look. I have a CD over here somewhere, but can't find it. I was listening to it just the other day, so it's in a pile of CDs sitting right there. Oh well. Anyhow, so that's kind of what happened with me. And then a friend of mine went to a concert and very kindly hooked me up with an autographed copy of the Girl School.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
45. So we got a few minutes. Maybe you can.
Girl School killed it.
We got a few minutes. Why don't you talk about that?
I might have talked about that one. It was Girl School. Oh man, what was the other band? Yngwie's first band. What band was that?
Alcatraz.
Yeah.
So it was Alcatraz Light. So it was the keyboard player. Basically, it's just the keyboard player and the bass player from Alcatraz. And the bass player only played 1 or 2 songs, and then they have another bass player that plays the rest of the show. So it's really just the keyboard player. They were okay. I was really there to see Girls School, and it was funny as Alcatraz was playing. The women from Girls School were in the audience, and nobody realized who it was. So I took a picture. I thought it was hilarious that all these people that are there to see Girls School didn't realize Girls School was in the crowd with them, because they just looked like a bunch of British grandmas. They weren't wearing their stage stuff yet. It just looked like a bunch of late 50s, mid 60s British women, So I thought that was hilarious that literally all these young girls that were there to see them didn't realize that was them in the audience with them. So, but they were really cool. I got to talk to a couple of them after the fact, but that was a really good show. Like I said, I went to Uriah Heep and Saxon, who, like I said, they killed it. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Daytona Beach. They have a 4-day festival there called Welcome to Rockville. That's pretty much all hard rock and metal. All the bands I wanted to see, luckily, were there the first day. So me and the wife went for the first day and then just spent the weekend hanging out, enjoying Daytona Beach. But we saw, I don't know if you guys remember Orgy. They were kind of like a
industrial style.
Yeah, they were kind of like an industrial meets 80s synth pop. It was kind of a cool mix. They got back together. They played. They were so. You can tell they hadn't played together in a decade or so. They were just kind of putting it together. It didn't sound cohesive, but it was cool to see them. I loved their first record when it came out in what was it, 95 or 96, whenever it was. Saw Anthrax. Anthrax killed it. Saw Judas Priest. Judas Priest sounded better than they sounded 2 years ago when I saw them on their last tour. Rob's voice wasn't there. What I will say, you can hear the effects on his voice if you really listen to it. He definitely had a number of effects on his voice. It wasn't just auto tune. You could hear there were some pitch shifting and stuff, and some vocal doubling and stuff so that he could hit those notes. But it was still a really killer show. I'm still not 100% bought in on their newest album. I know everybody talks about how great it is. I think their last album was a 9 out of 10. I think this one is probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10. the two songs that they did from the newest album were the weakest songs of the set. It was still a really cool set, though. I was actually going to see Motley Crue too, and I honestly, after watching the new video and hearing the new stuff from Motley Crue, I didn't want to hear them with John 5, so we ended up leaving before Motley Crue even took the stage. I'll keep my good memories, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to ruin it by watching them. But we also saw Dirty Honey. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They might. I'm not sure where they're from, but they're kind of like a Black Crowes type of band. Really good. I really dug them. Kind of a Black Crowes, Southern rock kind of deal. Who else did we see? Amigo the Devil. So if you got, actually, John, you might want to check out Amigo the Devil. He kind of mixes country. They call it what do they call it? Murder folk. So he's got songs about like one of his songs is All Rotten Hell with You, which is kind of a love song, but not really. He's got a song about making his wife a perfect wife by cutting her tongue out so she can't talk and ripping her eyes out so she can't see the things he does. And he's a Texas guy, man. He's such a good songwriter, though. You would really dig him, though. He kind of mixes bluegrass with country. There's almost kind of a little rockabilly to it, and a little bit of psychobilly in the topics, but really cool sounds. And that was my third time seeing him live, so really good. Actually Kerry King's new band was there. I thought about going to see him, but I don't know, man. His new stuff just sounds super gimmicky to me. He tries to make everything sound evil, and it just comes off as fake to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Trying too hard, I guess.
Yeah, kind of.
And he's got a stacked band. I mean, good grief.
Yeah.
He should sound great.
And then I did want to see Soulfly was there, and I wanted to go see them because their last few albums have been fantastic. But it was like 100 degrees, no shade. Where they were playing, and we had already watched like 3 bands in a row, and we were dying from the heat, so we didn't end up going to see Soulfly. But it was a really killer day. And Anthrax, man, it kills me how good those guys still are.
So is that Anthrax with Todd Lilker on bass, or did they still have Frankie Bello?
I didn't even pay attention to who was on bass,
because Todd Lilker allegedly was supposed to rejoin them.
I'm not sure. I didn't even think about
Dan Lilker?
Or Dan Lilker, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
What you meant. But Belladonna is still bouncing around the stage like a 17-year-old. Scott Ian's still losing his mind. I will say, I thought it was funny. I was telling my wife, Scott Ian, I think he has a skit of what he does for every song. Because if you think back, he does the same exact movements and the same exact things for every single song. I think he has a skit on how he jumps and moves around for all of his. Just something I noticed.
I wouldn't doubt it. A lot of big bands do. Oh wow, that's not good. Hang on a second, guys. There we go. My computer just almost died on me. that would have been the end of the show really quick.
Speaking of almost died, but is now plugged back in. I noticed TJ Lewis said, speaking of Texas bands, a certain band you may know is jamming together for the first time in 3 years tomorrow night. So I can assume that it's the Casa de Carcass house band, Forebode, because it's not Aska. Aska's just putting out records, and they're getting ready to tour, and they've been jamming together for a while. So, TJ, do you want to make an announcement? And oh, by the way, the Queen had said that I have her dog over here named Pin, and no, Pin is being a good boy. He's right over here by my side. So.
Doesn't Aska just put an album out?
Yes.
This is Patriarchs in Black.
Yeah.
Yep.
Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative fame.
Yep. And Dan Lorenzo does all the guitar work and songwriting and whatnot. But yeah. Anyhow, I don't know how I missed them because I pre-ordered their new album. It's coming out next month, and the other albums I got the CD of this one. I got the vinyl of this one coming in the mail. So I
Did you
really
guys
like him.
check out, what was the band that came out last year, the year before? It was all the guys from Typo with a new singer.
Now
Nope,
that would be a
didn't
question
hear
for the
it.
queen because she is a huge typo negative
It was like
person.
a year, maybe a year ago. I remember the pre-order. It was the rhythm section. Obviously, Peter's dead, but it was the rest of the guys with a different singer, and
Steph,
I never
TJ,
heard anything about that afterwards.
chime
So.
in.
Oh, she's in there. I just saw her post a minute ago. I thought.
Yeah, she did.
Silver Tomb.
So I have to check them out. I
guess I need to write that one down too. I have like more than a half a page of notes today, so
nice.
I'm gonna be busy bee, and I hope that I don't like everything because, well, it'll be on tape or download, one of the two. Pale horse named Death, also. Man, TJ, stop it. A pale horse.
You guys ever heard of before? I know we got to go. We're over an hour already. But you guys ever heard Kill Devil Hill?
Yeah,
that the name sounds familiar. I don't remember the record.
That's Rex Brown from Pantera fame.
Yeah. He does a lot of the writing, I think. Yeah, Dewey Bragg, Mark Zavana, and Vinny Appice.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I
don't know. Anytime I see Appice or a piece, it kind of turns me off into wanting to buy the record. I don't know what it is with those two.
You don't like the Appice brothers?
I don't dislike them. I've never thought that either of them were great drummers, though.
Yeah.
Well,
and it seems like
shockingly, not so shockingly, I'm going to agree with you. I just how did they get the gig? It's such a, they played in heaven, and one of the brothers played in Heaven and Hell. I mean, that's a tall order.
He played in Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because he toured for Heaven and Hell, and then was in the band.
I mean, going all the way back to what was it, 71? With the first,
Ecstasy.
when was the first Vanilla Fudge record?
Oh,
yeah, that's his brother. Yep,
that's 69.
Yeah, I mean, but I've never been a big fan of either of them, and I don't know what it is. It seems like anytime they're in a band, it just flashes gimmick band to me. I don't know what it is, but
well, Kill Devil Hill's still around. They're still they have a new album coming out, I think. And I think they're on their third or fourth album now. I don't know what album this wasn't. I don't know anything about this band, so I don't even know if they're a metal band. I mean, it could just be. I don't know anything about it. So.
Mark asked about the Nu Metal Church. So Scott loves the Nu Metal Church. I dislike the Nu Metal Church. I just think it's okay. I think, Scott, you really liked it though, didn't you?
I thought it was good. Yeah, I really liked it a lot. It was, I mean, the vocals, the new vocals, he kind of really reaches in and gets his David Wayne on. He's got more of that screechy, scratchy. I don't know how else to describe it other than David Wayne. But yeah, I liked it a lot.
I didn't think the songs were. It wasn't the sound of the singer. I just didn't think the songs were as good as the stuff that they had written in the past. It was more my issue with it.
Yeah, I don't know that it was. It took me a few listens because it definitely didn't grab me right away. Like wasn't real hooky. So, but anyhow, sorry about that. Dog making noises. Cool. Well, I guess that's it. So this is episode number 227, just talking metal. We may or may not have a guest on. We've actually got some interesting guests possibly coming up in the near future. We'll see. I can't name names yet because we don't have anything, but anybody locked in. But speaking of Aska, we may have George Call on though. We've been talking with him about coming on, so that'll be cool. But yeah, we've got a bunch of different possibilities. So we're right now working on how can I put this? Somebody who was in Black Sabbath for a long time may be coming on the show too. So I'm looking forward to that as well. If it works out, we'll see. It's being worked on now.
Someone that was in Black Sabbath for a long time.
Yes.
Well,
I don't want to say anything because he hasn't said anything yet. So
okay. I hope it's not one of the Appices after I just talked trash about him.
No, it's not one of the Appice brothers. You're good.
Ouch.
Anybody see the Heretic document? Glenn Rogers is asking. I have it on DVD. I haven't got a chance to watch it yet.
I didn't even know there was one. I love Heretic though.
And then John Slane said Motley Crue was horrible. Walked out after 5 songs.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't go to see him then, because me and my wife argued about it, whether we were going to stay to see him because they were the last one of the night, and I was like, I don't know, I just didn't. Something told me that I didn't want to go, so I'm glad I didn't. We did meet the guys. So, side note, we were in the same hotel as the guys from Disturbed, and we hung out with them a little bit and had some drinks. And they were not the singer, but the rest of the band. They were really cool as well.
You know, the drummer died, right? The drummer for Disturbed died. Oh no, that was Stained. Never mind. Sorry, Disturbed fans.
Actually, so I'm friends with the guys from Seether. They're on tour with Stained right now, so they must have a new drummer then.
I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong, Queen.
Yes, Ozzy. Look at that. He guessed. Paul Wayne guessed it. It's Ozzy.
No, you mean Mike?
Is he gonna remember that he's even been on the radio?
Yeah, no, I wish. I would love to bring him on, even if I can't understand a word he says. Just he's a legend. I don't care what people think of him. The dude is a legend. So, all right, we got to go. It's already after an hour. So, for episode number 227, just talking metal for the metal roundtable, we've got. I'm going to put the little things up too while I'm doing it. I'm not as good as. So we've got. Let's see here, Steve. Harmless Rebel. Subscribe to Steve on YouTube at Harmless Rebel 868. There you go. You can follow John on Instagram at Carcass John Art. You can follow me on Instagram at No Life to Metal, or you can find me on YouTube just by searching No Life to Metal or Scott Waters. And that is it. So you know how we all do it. Metal will prevail. Oh, and then I'm just gonna leave you hanging because I got to figure out where everything's at. It's been a while since I've done this. Outro. There we go.